The most underrated player in the draft this year by far is Washington quarterback Jacob Eason. And the 49ers should seriously consider drafting him, especially if they can trade down into round two and pick up some extra picks. Jacob Eason was the number one quarterback in the country through every stage of his life growing up. Middle school, high school, number one quarterback, number one pocket passer coming out of high school, had his pick of colleges to go to in 2016. Could have stayed in Washington where he's from and played with John Ross and Dante Pettis. Chose to go across the country to a premier organization, Georgia. Wanted to play for Mark Richt. Mark Richt got fired like a month after Eason declared that he was going to Georgia. So instead, he plays for Kirby Smart, who's a defensive coach who favors a conservative run-first offense. Not what Jacob Eason had in mind. Still, starts as a true freshman in the SEC, wins 8 games. That was 2016. Same year, Joe Burrow is at Ohio State, riding the bench, appears in 5 games, throws 28 passes. Same year, Justin Herbert, freshman at Oregon, starts 8 games, wins 2 in the Pac-12. These guys are young, struggling quarterbacks while Eason is winning as a true freshman. Sophomore year comes back, injures his ankle week 1, never regains his job, loses it to a very smart, good college quarterback, kind of a game manager, Jake Fromm. So Eason misses 2017. Then he transfers to Washington, goes back home, misses 2018, has to sit out another year, misses 2 seasons. 2019 comes around. Dante Pettis isn't there. John Ross isn't there. No first-round picks around him. Kind of a down year for Washington. Still leads him to 8 wins. Plays Oregon, goes head-to-head with Justin Herbert, outplays Herbert, almost beats Herbert, throws 3 touchdown passes, goes 23 of 30. Just a great game. A solid season for a kid who was learning a new scheme and had missed 2 seasons. Then at the end of the year, the head coach, Chris Peterson, resigns. The offensive coordinator gets fired. Again, Jacob Eason, wrong place, wrong time, sort of bad luck or bad choice of where to go. It would make no sense for him to stay at Washington, so he decides to declare for the NFL draft. Imagine if he had decided to transfer from Georgia to LSU in 2018, the way Joe Burrow transferred from Ohio State to LSU. Joe Burrow went to LSU where the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, is a young phenom and now the offensive coordinator for the Panthers. Maybe if Eason had gone to LSU, he'd be the one who is considered the number 1 pick on Thursday, and Burrow would be a second-round prospect if he had gone to maybe Washington. A lot of these choices can affect a kid's future in the NFL. So, Eason is under the radar. He didn't play much in college, but he's the only quarterback in this draft who has an elite trait. Joe Burrow doesn't have a cannon. Tua Tagovailoa isn't as good of an improviser as Kyler Murray, but Jacob Eason has the strongest arm in the draft. It's an elite arm. It's as strong as Patrick Mahomes' arm, Josh Allen's arm, Matt Stafford's arm. That kind of arm strength, it's rare. The only quarterback who has an elite trait, he's a project. He hasn't played much. But for teams that are looking for a pocket passer that maybe already have a Hall of Fame one who's old, the Bucs with Tom Brady, the Colts with Phillip Rivers, this is the project they're going to want. Jacob Eason. Not Jordan Love. Jordan Love is a different kind of quarterback. He's an athlete who improvises. Eason is a pocket passer who stays in the pocket, takes the hit while he makes the throw. Some people say he's too tall. He's 6'6", as if at a certain point, height works against the quarterback. That doesn't make any sense. The reason taller quarterbacks have struggled in the past has to do with their arms. Usually tall people have long arms. And the longer the arm, the more difficult it is to have a repeatable throwing motion. And repeatable means you can throw the ball accurately every time. People with shorter arms usually are more accurate when they throw. If your arms are 33, 34 inches long, you're probably going to have a tough time throwing the ball, placing the ball where you want to. You look at guys like Paxton Lynch, really, really long arms. Well, for a 6'6" guy, Jacob Eason doesn't have long arms. His arms are just below 33 inches. It's the same length as Carson Palmer, Tom Brady, guys who were 6'5". So I don't think Jacob Eason being tall is an issue. If his arms were too long, it would be an issue, but it's not. You watch him throw. He actually has a very compact delivery. He's accurate. He looks a little bit like Drew Brees when he's getting rid of the ball, except Drew Brees is 6 feet and this kid's 6'6". Some teams are going to love Eason. Some teams are not going to have Tua Tagovailoa on their draft board at all. He's injury prone. They haven't checked him with their doctors. Some teams are going to have him off their board. Some teams are going to have Jacob Eason, I'm guessing, number 2 after Joe Burrow. Because what's the difference between Jacob Eason and Justin Herbert? Experience? The fact that Herbert picked a better college to go to and didn't have to transfer? The fact that Herbert played more? Was Herbert a better quarterback than Jacob Eason in 2016? No. What's changed since then? Circumstances. Some teams are going to have Eason ranked ahead of Herbert, and I can't blame them. The Niners might be one of those teams. When you look at all the quarterbacks in this draft, which one would appeal to a pocket passing coach, a coach who prefers those kind of quarterbacks like Shanahan? I think he's going to like Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason has the ability to bomb the ball down the field off of play action the way Kirk Cousins does, Matt Ryan does. He's the exact opposite kind of quarterback of Jimmy Garoppolo. And if the Niners are looking for a big-armed, throw-it-down-the-field play-action quarterback to make their offense more like the Atlanta Falcons offense of 2016, the best offense Kyle Shanahan ever created, they might look to draft a big-arm project in round 2 if they trade down a couple of times and get some extra picks. Get to know Jacob Eason. He could be, in a couple of years, the best quarterback from this entire draft class.